Hello out there in podcast land
And YouTube world.
and YouTube world. Feels weird facing the camera, but
Hello, Kenny.
my name is Kenny Bartley, and this is the Bible. Wait, what?
Kenny, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good, Kenny. That's pretty good.
That's because I love this podcast.
Oh, I love this podcast too.
I've heard
I
that.
love
I love
guests
the
that sort of
catch
thing.
the catch cry. I can't remember when I was last on.
Oh, we were talking about Deuteronomy,
Oh yeah,
I think.
but
What
I'm
is-
known for doing short podcasts. People,
You are. You're one of those ones that usually comes in well under 2 hours, sometimes an hour and a half, Kenny. But let's see how we go
but
today.
we're going to
These are
change
long-
everything today.
These are long chapters.
And I've had a bit of a scare because I studied the wrong chapters for today.
well, we'll have some fun.
So
You got
it's going to be fine.
You got the numbers right. You're supposed to be doing John 7 to 11. You did 17 to 21. So you had the second digit right. You just were 10 chapters out from where you needed to be, Kenny.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does. It might be to make it shorter.
I don't know. My hands are a little sweaty, to be honest.
Oh, we'll have some fun. These are some pretty intense chapters, actually. Jesus kind of picks a fight with the Pharisees, or they pick a fight with him. And he says some pretty challenging stuff all round in these chapters.
This is my first Jesus chapters that I've done in the podcast.
Is that
I'm pretty
true?
sure, yeah.
Right.
Which is exciting. I used to think about the Bible and I'd go, oh, all this, I was going to say crap, all this stuff leading up and then these short 4 Gospels of Jesus. And
Yeah.
it's so exciting. And why is it so short? Why don't they feel more of the Bible with it?
Yes, and then along comes Dallas Jenkins and decides to do like 6 seasons of of Jesus focusing on the chosen into these chapters. But yes, there's not a lot, relatively speaking. It's a small part of the Bible, isn't it?
But it does blow my mind. We were talking earlier about the red letters.
Yes.
When you are reading the red letters and thinking, Jesus, this guy who I have a relationship, my savior, and this is his actual, what he said.
Absolutely,
Just
his
all brings
words.
it like,
Yeah.
it just slaps you in the face.
It does.
And it's amazing.
That's another whole level again, Kenny, when you go to Israel and you stand on the shores of the Galilee and you read this stuff and you think, man, this is where he said this right here
Yeah.
in Capernaum. He said these words. It's pretty incredible.
It almost makes you emotional.
It does.
Because believers have a personal relationship with Jesus, and that's like someone that's very close to you, and then you're reading these amazing
Timeless words.
timeless words. One thing I was thinking about was there a secretary doing shorthand? Because sometimes some of his speeches
Yeah.
are quite long,
Yeah.
and the words are very proper. They're all
Yes,
in the
filled
right
in.
order.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did these disciples get this so perfect? Because they didn't have a dictaphone
No,
tape
no,
recorder.
they weren't working around with their iPhone filming it, were they?
They might have had chalk on a stone or something. No,
Well,
and
they had books. It
had
wasn't
books.
uncommon to have parchment that they would write on at the
Okay.
time. So in the Chosen, you see Matthew, who's the guy who
Yeah,
writes
yeah.
it. He's always
He
sitting
was
there with his
right
pen,
into
and
it,
he's,
wasn't he?
You know, they make out he's got ASD, so he's kind of like very attention to detail. But also too in season 4, it knows John's starting to write too. So I think it's very likely that
Yeah.
that's a big part of it, that things were written down by that time, but also too they would have talked about it over dinner and what
Yeah.
did Jesus meant when he said that. So that's quite foreign to us because we live in a culture where we write everything down.
Yeah.
But over time, in the past, even ancient cultures, before they wrote everything down, it's amazing. They now know how much we've lost our ability to remember things by listening to them because we don't have to anymore.
That's
But
right.
back then, they remembered, they talked things through, and they actually had a better capacity to remember things.
Yeah. It's like family stories and stuff that you go around and you remember the story and you
Yeah.
tell it because you've spoken it with your family over the years.
Over the years, that's exactly a good example of it.
Whereas now we could Google Martin Luther King's speech
Yes.
and just get the exact words.
You
couldn't
just
we?
watch it exactly. Yep, they couldn't do that. So yeah, I think that's the limitation of the time they lived in. But these words have been proven time and again. These red letters that you're talking about have been proven time again to be timeless, to still be applicable and wise words for us. 2,000 years later, which is quite extraordinary, really, when you think about it. That there's the words of this man who walked the earth for 3 years, teaching for 3 years, basically, has changed the world with the wisdom that's in these 4 little books that you're talking about, which isn't
Well, he
even
never
much of the
puts a
Bible.
foot wrong, does he? Really?
No, he's perfect. Yeah.
So well spoken,
Yeah,
and
articulate.
I had a little giggle because I was thinking, Jesus doing this beautiful parable or sermon, and John would be, "Excuse me, Jesus, can you just stop? I didn't get that last part, and I just
Feel
need to
like
write
that.
down. What did you say about the flying on eagle's wings?"
Yeah, exactly. And what do you mean by that? Well, you often see that. They go away and they ask him afterwards, what did you mean, Jesus?
Yeah.
Sometimes you see that referred to, which gives you an insight into what it really must have been like for these disciples to follow around Jesus, thinking, what is he going to say next? And we're going to see that today. I mean, some of the stuff he does today is pretty out there. Some of the stuff he says is pretty out there. It's pretty confronting stuff, where he's really showing up the ways of the world that are wrong and comparing them to kingdom values, showing how self-righteousness, putting yourself first, using people for your own benefit, all those things are going to be shown in these chapters. We're going to end with probably the thing that arguably was instrumental in leading to his crucifixion, really. Certainly kickstarted. That's the raising of Lazarus from the dead. So we're going to end with that chapter in chapter 11 today.
Are we?
So we're going there.
Well, this is exciting.
So we should get into it, hey? Or
Let's do it.
All right,
Let's
we'll
go.
start with chapter 7.